All right, so we decided to do a part B because of the thing that we ended part A with. You said you wanted to talk about it, so I'm gonna show the clip of it right now. Okay, so we didn't just watch the clip again, but do you remember? You want me to talk about it? You want to talk about it?
No, it's pretty much self-explanatory. Essentially, glad you can talk about it.
Yeah, what she's saying is, she said, oh, spinal cord injuries, it's either all or nothing. Like, you either get everything back or you get nothing back. And, she just clarified when I asked her, I've never seen any of the everything back, though. I've only seen nothing.
She said I've only read about.
No, she said she's only seen the nothing. She's only read about those who have gotten things back.
I'm curious to know, when it says that they got everything back, if that meant right away after the spinal stroke, or if it was like...
Well, then here's the other thing. She said, and those that I read about were like down here, like where they got an injury lower, and it affected probably just their legs. And then I asked her, I say, so what about a C5 spinal stroke, about getting everything back? Like, had you read about that or whatever? And when I asked her that, she was like that's not... But she said, but I have limited, knowledge or whatever.
Because it's so rare, most therapists don't deal with spinal strokes because there just aren't any. There's not a lot known about it. Or, like if you were to go try to find like spinal stroke recoveries, I think you find like 2 and they're still in their chairs. There just isn't a lot of people who have it.
That doesn't match the all or nothing description she said, though. But
yeah, but those ones got very limited back. The ones I'm talking about. So that's why I was like, don't YouTube that.
So that would be basically nothing, is the way they would describe that.
Or the reason they're on the internet is because wow, they got this much back.
They got this tiny little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is a big deal because it doesn't happen. Definitely not my case, which is very interesting because it basically means, which explains why she said that about the recovery for me. Basically means that I'm already a walking miracle. Everything that's happening should not be happening.
Mm-hmm.
So when Dr. Yee said that, you don't come back from a spinal stroke.
He wasn't just being a mean doctor or something.
Yeah, or pessimistic. He knows what is written about it. Mm-hmm. You do not come back from a spinal stroke. So, wow.
And that puts so much more weight behind when he looked at me.
I'm so glad I didn't know that. Ignorance is bliss.
I basically understood that all along.
See, when Dr. Yee walked out, I just said, I reject that. And I figured, oh, he's just a physician who, doesn't have hope for anything.
So you were
I didn't really think, people really don't come back from this. I didn't think that.
So you were half relying on the power of God, but also half relying on, hopefully science can help this some too?
Yes. Just okay, people come back, but they don't come back fast. God will bring the supernatural for that to happen. I didn't realize this all is supernatural. Mm-hmm. So that kind of hit me when she said that.
Yeah, it was really cool that moment happened when I was at Starbucks.
Right, and a lot of my nurses have never even heard of a spinal stroke or ever had a patient that had a spinal stroke. It's so crazy.
I had just gotten my pen, my Ray-Bans, and my hat stolen off of that table when I walked inside. I'm a fool, I guess. I often leave my stuff on tables because I trust people. But this particular place was kind of out of view. It was a little bit unwise. I did grab my wallet and my phone. But when I came back, I was really bummed about it. And I almost said, you know what, I'm just not in the right place to do this video right now. And I took a second. I said, Lord, forgive that person. They don't realize what they're doing. And then I thought later, I was like, you know what? If someone came up to me and said, "Hey, I really need a hat and some glasses and a pen," I'd give it to them. And I just switched my perspective to say, "Hey, they needed that more than I did." And what the blessing, this is my point, the blessing that came out of that, not that I did something nice. So I get it, I lost my reward for that and everything. I don't care. I think what I'm saying is more important. I continued anyway, and that blessing walked out, which was your OT, and we got to hear that. We wouldn't have heard that otherwise, like that. And I think she was more raw about it with me than she would have been had you been there.
Right, because my therapists always say, anytime I ask any questions, well, every spinal injury is different. And they all recover different, so no two cases are the same. So they always want to speak life, I've noticed, and encouragement, and never comparison, which is so good. They shouldn't do that because it continues on your own hope, right? You're not comparing. But to finally have them like admit, because I'm like, I know that this is supernatural, but they don't want to say that because they just want me to like continue with what I'm doing. To finally hear it said like, yeah, what you have is pretty bad.
You know what's crazy? She practiced that same policy even at Starbucks, because when I asked her that one question where I was trying to get a yes or no, and the answer was no, she didn't say it. She just kind of gave me a...
Right, because you don't want to ever discourage a spinal cord injury patient. So everything is very like, well, we don't know. Every spinal cord is different. So let's work on what we have right here, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm encouraged to know that God is the one who gets all the credit. All right, we don't want this video to go long.
If anyone's feeling generous about glasses and hats and pens, please don't. We're okay. Thank you so much. Bless somebody else, please. That's it? Okay. Thank you, Jesus.